Okay, back for part 2, excuse me, of making the journal. Where we left off, I'd poked the holes and gone through and made sure that everything was coming all the way through. So I have the 3 holes there. And I'm going to put this aside, and now I've got to make my holes in my in the cover. So you do the same thing, just lay it out flat. You have the crease right in front of you. You use your centering ruler and you do the same thing. Put the 0, and then you're going to line it up so that you have the same distance on either side. And then just find the 0, use your pokey tool, and you just poke. And you go again at 2 and at 2, or wherever you went distance up and down from the center, whatever number you chose. When you did your pages, you're going to do the same thing on the cover. So there's one there, and one in the middle. So then I'm just going to take my pokey tool and I'm just going to get it started to make sure that they go all the way through. I don't want to make too big a hole. So that would spoil it, so I'm just kind of, let's see, there it is. Sorry about that, can't see. Poking and gently poking and twisting. So, like that. So there's your 3 holes. They should match up with the 3 holes you have on your pages. Now, if you were going to use a class envelope, let's see if I can find it in here. I haven't got a big one, but I've got a small one that I can show you. I don't typically do clasp envelope journals. I don't even have a big one. So this is one of the smaller kinds. So you would do the same thing. You'd set up your pages exactly the same, and then you would take your clasp envelope and you would just fold it in half. You put your cover, your image on your cover, and do whatever you want, and poke your holes, and then that would be where your holes would be, your center and your 2 on either side. And then when you do that, then you'd sew it in, so that on one side you would have this pocket here, and the other side would be solid. And other than that, it's exactly the same. You just treat it like paper. And that's how you would do an envelope. Be exactly the same. So you have your holes, you have your pages, don't need the pokey tool anymore. Now you have to decide what you want to use to sew your signature in with. And there's lots and lots of choices. There's embroidery thread, there's crochet cotton, there's cotton string, there's hemp, there's braiding cord, there's burlap twine, butcher's string, baker's twine. If you can get it through the eye of a needle and through not too big of a hole, you probably could use it. This particular one, I'm just using cotton string. I have a huge spool of this that Fred brought me from work, more than I could ever use in a lifetime. So I just pull off a great big whack of it. I would rather have too much than not enough. And you're gonna need a needle with a big eye. Where's the darn lens? You're gonna need a needle with a big eye to get this stuff through, and then it's still kind of tricky to thread, but that's what you need. You just need a big long needle. And then you just start. You've got your pages all hitched together, and if you've got fairly big holes, decent sized holes, this goes actually quite easily. And you want to make sure, if you have something that's directional, you want to make sure that your pages are going in the same direction as your cover, obviously, or your pages are going to be in upside down, and then you're not going to be a happy camper. And you also want to make sure that the front is the way you want the front, the front of the book, obviously, to the front of the cover, or you're going to have everything in backward too, which I've done both of these before. So just try to remember to check and make sure that you've got everything. This is the front, right side up. If you have something directional, your pages are all right side up. So you have everything clipped together, and then you start in the center, and I've used a good sized hole so I'm able to poke all the way through without having to fight the pages. And then just kind of jimmy the needle and just wiggle it, and it should come all the way through. And then you leave yourself a tail, because it's too bad if you get this all through and you pull it and you pull the whole thing out. So you go through from the inside, from the center, you go poke all the way through to here. Then you pick up your cover and you go through the center hole in your cover. You just go through and pull it through. You don't have to worry about whether this is tight at this point. You just want to get it through there, okay? And holding all your pages together with paper clips and a binder clip or a shop clip like this really does help. So then you're going to go from the outside of your binding, and you're going to take I go at the top, you can go at the bottom, doesn't matter. You're going to take one or the other. So I'm going to do the top because that's the way I usually do it. And I'm going to go this way so you can see. I'm going to go through the cover, and I'm going to just pull it through and just grab it. And then I'm going to go and I'm going to find where my hole is here, and I'm just going to go through the whole thing and hope that it all comes through at the center. And if it doesn't, which it's not right now, you just kind of stick your fingers in there and find the holes and just, if I got a call on, and you just find the holes and just feed them through. And if you've got at least one side firmly clipped together, the whole thing isn't going to go all over the place on you. Okay, so then I've come all the way through to my center, and then I'm just going to wiggle it. And if the eye won't come through, sometimes it doesn't, if the eye won't come through, what I do is I take my fingers and I slip them in the book. And you can only see what I'm doing, but I'm putting my fingers around the needle, and I'm just sliding the pages down off the eye of the needle. I can't really get it in there so you can really see. Get that off, maybe. Let's see, you see where the needle is there, and I'm just putting my fingers around the needle, and I'm just making sure that the eye comes through the paper. That. Sometimes you have to do that a page at a time even. So then I'm going to pull it up through, and I'm still not worrying about whether it's real tight. See, you have half your stitch there. Okay. Now I'm going to go back through my center hole from the center back outside. And the trick here is try not to split this thread. There's a way to fix it if you do, but you want to try not to split that thread when you come back through. So I'm going to try to get this all in one whack. I'm coming through everything all at once. Oops, everything all at once. This is quite thick, but I think I can do it if I wiggle it enough. And this is where you need strong fingers. If you're a lazy crafter like I am and you just want to get it all the way through all at once. And this is cardstock paper, that's why it's hard. Okay, so I've got it all the way through, and I'm just going to pull it up so that it's tight. just pulling it through. And then what I want to do now is I want to make sure that this, come on camera, stop that. I want to make sure that this is tight. So, you know, it feels tight, but I look here and I make sure that this is okay. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and I'm going to kind of tug it. Because see, there's some slack there. And then I'm going to tug it from the center. And if I pull it right, it will pull back. And I pull it from the outside. And that will tighten everything up, okay? So you just kind of check it from the outside or the inside, find where you have, if you have any slack. Then you just loosen it up on the other side and pull it through. And so it's tight. And I just, you know, I just kind of doing on it, and I can tell now that it's tight. Okay, that's what you want. Now I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to go to the bottom hole, and I'm going to go through. I'm going to go through the cover. That's my main accent. Showing at times, even though I haven't lived in Maine for 30-something years. So I go through the cover, and then I'm gonna, just folding it back so you can see, I'm gonna find where those holes are. I can feel it right there with my thumbnail, and I'm just going to go through the whole thing and see if I can twist and wiggle to get this all the way through. Nope, it's not gonna do it. So I'm just going to put my fingers inside. I'm going to take this off to make it a little easier for me. And I'm just going to feed the pages. I can see where the hole is, so I'm just going to feed a few pages at a time onto the needle. Like that. It's all the way through. And then I'm going to pull it. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm putting my fingers inside and I'm sliding a few pages at a time. I'm just sliding the pages off the eye of the needle. And you can just feel it when it happens because I'm pulling up and I'm pushing down. Just putting the needle between my fingers and I'm just pulling up on the needle and down and pushing down on the paper, and everything comes through like that. And then you want to give this a good tug. Make sure it's tight. Okay. So there you have it. You have your tail and your end with the needle on it. So then what I do is I go, after everything, I make sure everything's tight. Then I go under my thread. Okay. So that it's all the way across. And then I just tie it off. Tie it now, double knot. Like that. And I'm gonna leave the tails long because I do the things on strings. You know, you can do the hearts on a string, butterflies on a string. I do charms on a string, and I leave them hanging down out of the bottom of the journal so that they're not in the way. You can cut this off short and just leave it like that and have it showing. You can tie this in a bow and leave it showing. You can cut it short and take these two pages and stick them together and make a big pocket so the stitching doesn't show at all. There's lots of different things that you can do, but I'm gonna leave them short. I'm just like leave them long, and I'm just gonna leave them like that because I do those at the end so they're not in the way. And I didn't waste too much. I only had 6 inches extra. So we're all done with the sewing. There. So now your journal is all bound, and it likes to do that. It does. Doesn't like to cooperate, but so it's all bound. So now, this is something that I would do at the end, but in the interest of showing everything, I'm going to do it now. I usually, if I'm going to embellish the spine or put my closure on, I generally do that at the end. I do that last, but I'm going to do it now so you can see how I do it. The easiest closure to do really is just a wraparound of seam binding, and I have a whole drawer of all sorts of different colors. So if I want to do a seam binding, I can just pick. And looking at that, I chose this color here because I think it goes pretty well with this color palette. So this is a 2-yard piece. I'm just going to cut this off and get that out of the way, and then I have this big long piece. So what I'm going to do, since I'm going to put lace on the spine here, I'm going to feed this underneath the stitching. So all I'm going to do is I'm just going to tuck it under there, and and this is what you can do if you don't have a crocodile. This is just the easiest thing you can do, and then you kind of want it so that it's even. So I'm just finding the ends, and I'm just pulling it so that it's basically even. So then you've got this big long thing which will wrap around a couple times and give whoever gets it, the journal, lots of room for expansion, and it gives you the room for a nice bow as well. So that's on there, and that's going to stay there, and I don't do anything to it. It's going to get held on with the lace. So now I'm going to put some lace on the binding, and I have chosen this it's this cotton crocheted lace that I got at Wally World, and gonna put that on the spine. It's just gonna wrap around the spine like that. So I'm gonna just kind of eyeball a measurement. I don't measure anything, and I'm just gonna kind of eyeball it, and I'm gonna give myself a little bit extra, just in case of boo-boos. I'm just gonna cut it off. And then I'm going to have some that I'm going to cut off the top and bottom, and I save those little bits because I use those with garment pins and little tiny tags and things for embellishments. So I'm going to set this aside for a second, and I've got my glue gun going here, and I'm going to take a bead of glue, and I'm just going to run it all the way down, top to bottom, the journal. You can use score tape. I do it that way too. I use tape sometimes, but I've got the glue gun going, so I'm just going to run a bead of glue all the way down the spine to there. And then I'm going to take, quickly, before the glue dries, I'm going to line this up, and you do have to go fast and just get it on there so that it's basically in the middle, and I haven't fried my fingers. And you kind of adjust it while it's still a little soft. So that's on there, like that. So there. Now, once it's there, now you have a little bit more time. Now you want to stick all of this down. Obviously, you don't want that flapping about. So I'm going to lay the book down, and I'm going to fold this back this way. And as you can see now, this is attached now because it got caught in with the glue. So then I'm going to run another bead of glue down a little bit further. And stick the lace down like that. See, it's stuck down there. And then I've still got to go one more time across. And I get this fairly close to the edge of the lace, but I don't really want it sticking out because I don't want the glue to really show. There, like that. I get the glue off my fingers. Okay, so that's one side. And then you just flip it over, and I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. Run a of glue here. And another. Okay. There. So that's where we're at. Okay, turn it around so you can see it the right way. So now I have this extra bit. So then all I do is I just kind of open the book out kind of flat, and then I just trim it off carefully. So you can actually see this. Then I just kind of carefully trim it. And same thing on the other side. There. There. Now, it seems like everything's pretty well stuck down. I am going to put a little tiny bit of glue right there at the end of that ribbon. Check for any little fraying bits. Because you want it to look well made. Okay, everything's like it's stuck down pretty good on this side. Okay, so that's it. You can certainly add more to here, but I think that's where I'm going to stop. That's one of the things, is knowing where to stop. And I think that is pretty much it. I mean, this is just a bare bones journal. This is certainly would make a great writing journal, just as it is, just like this. Would make a terrific writing journal. Can be embellished, which is what I'm going to do with it. And I will do that, and I will come back after I've embellished it, and I will do a full flip through. So I hope this is helpful to some people, and I will see you when this guy is all finished. Bye.